Hi, everyone. Welcome to Symphony's
Hi.
Walk with Grace. Today's episode, we're doing a Mother's Day special. So I'm going to let Grace lead the brigade today.
Hi there. I've been thinking about, what we would talk about on this Mother's Day special. It's been what would you say, weird, difficult, sometimes good, sometimes bad these last couple weeks. We've been going through some major kind of cosmic energies. I thought maybe I would touch on that just in terms of I consider those what we might consider those to be subtle energies, but they're really not subtle. Subtle in that if we're not real attuned, even if we are really attuned to these energies, they're harder to pick up on and harder to kind of stay in tune with, but know that they're working in your life, whether you're aware of it or not. So, oftentimes, so we just went through we had the spring equinox, one of my favorite times of year. But for some of us, that can be a very difficult time. For some of us, it can be a good time. I think a lot of that just kind of depends upon what's going on in your astrology chart, kind of who and what you are based on your own energies. I think is a part of that. But sometimes we do really well and it's a very happy time. Other times, we could be going through some major stuff. Soon after that, we had the solar eclipse paired with a new moon in Aries. Aries is a pretty strong energy. It's my sign. It's definitely kind of the beginnings of things because it's the first, what do you call it?
Zodiac?
Tiffany, thank you. Zodiac. It's the first zodiac. It's the first, the beginning of kind of the new cycle. And that was a really trying time for us, I think, for you girls and me in particular. And I recognize if you look on your chart to figure out where Aries is in your chart, that's kind of easy for me. I know my house, it was in the house of three, which is your siblings, and it has a lot to do with communication. Well, what was one of the big things we, as kind of in our family and within our girls in particular, my girls, we were working a lot on communication, weren't we?
Yeah.
When to say what we need to say, what we need to say, how to say it. We were very careful about, we didn't want to hurt feelings. One of us had to kind of let someone go in our lives, and that was really difficult for her. I felt like we did a great job being very supportive of her. But just in our own general lives, we had things we needed to say to loved ones, and we had a hard time figuring that out. Amongst that time, I we knew someone that passed away, very dear friend of mine, daughter, someone you
Who
knew.
was a good friend of mine.
Yes, that was very, very difficult. Another friend's mother was passing away. Same friend, daughter's getting ready to have a baby. At the same time, like I said, one of my daughters had to let someone very close in her life and kind of needed to let that space go for her. Very difficult. Another major happening for me, because it's like I said earlier, the house is in my sibling house. One of my siblings that I hadn't spoken to for a couple years reached out to me and we had lunch together and it was a wonderful time for me. It felt like a wonderful reconnection. I felt like I was able to say things I needed to say. We were comfortable in each other's presence, which has been difficult for me in the past. Lots of different things kind of coming up. And then I'm looking at, we're getting ready to have, let's see, this one's going to be the lunar eclipse next Friday, also on the full moon. So we'll see what happens from here. I feel like we're not through this cycle. And it's hard to kind of judge when a cycle starts and when it ends, but we just know that it's still working through in your life, whatever has been kind of happening. For some of us, we feel like we've gotten some closure. For some of us, I know for me, I feel lighter, but we're not quite through it. So, but just kind of a check-in. I want to see how people are doing and see, you know, do you feel like you're riding this wave? Do you feel like you're being pummeled in this wave? So, let us know how you're doing. Let us know if this has been a big deal, an easy deal, or and maybe this will kind of start to tie into the Mother's Day thing and kind of my feeling is especially around, I've said this before, holidays, how do we get through them? Because typically we have good things and bad things kind of happening at the same time. How aware are we of that? Typically when something good's happening, we're all for it and we're enjoying that time. If we're having a rough time, if we've just gone through or going through something difficult. So I think this will kind of lead into maybe the theme that I'm feeling for Mother's Day, and that is oftentimes both kinds of things are happening, the good and the bad. And are we able to kind of be aware, in particular, hold space for all of it? Can we hold space for all of it, the good and the bad? I have some wonderful things happening in my life. I have some pretty sad things happening with some really close loved ones of mine. Can I hold space for both of those? I think we can. If you're in a really bad space and you can't bring yourself to find the good, that's okay too. It is what it is. We are where we are. What's happening in your life is what's happening in your life. And that, for me, that's what grace is. Grace is being okay with all of it, understanding there's a reason for it, whether we understand it or not, but that we're going to have faith in life continuing on, even as it seems to be crashing and burning in one area. Give it time. New things will come out of that.
Yeah.
So, so how are you doing, Tiffany?
I'm exhausted today, but I don't know. It's been a tough couple of weeks, but I'm here.
Yes, yeah. Uh,
Fighting with this light that makes me look like I just got this like giant glowing spot on my head.
oh, trying to
And
fix
I'm
the
like,
lighting.
why? No, it doesn't matter what angle, but it's the quietest room in the house. So I guess I'm
Gotcha.
just, gonna glow.
Gonna glow. There you go. Glow. All right.
Thank you for joining another
Thank
episode.
you.